What's good? What's good? I'm going to give everybody a second to get in here. I didn't trade today, but I'm not really too upset that I didn't. It's pretty dog shit PA as far as unless you got it on the open. But other than that, just been ranging. There was one trade opportunity I see, but we'll go over that in a little bit. Well, actually, two really, but the second one I can't really say I would have taken just because of this right here. Like looking back, because I was actually watching. Sorry, guys. Excuse me. But I was watching right around here, and we got that raid of a high after 130 right there. No displacement here. Then we got that rush above that high, then the displacement break of structure. But I will say I can't say I would have taken it just because these equal highs, and that could be being preserved for later. But usually whenever I'm just not going to put my stop loss at something like that. But I do see, the model when we wait for after 130 and then wait for that raid. We got it. Displacement of the downside. And then you have a fair value gap. I mean, this is pretty clear cut trade. But again, just the stop loss placement for me was a no-no. So I was just like, I'll set it out. Usually whenever I have like a day when I had to do some personal stuff this morning. And usually when I have days like that, I'm just not in the zone almost. Like I don't want to trade because I'm kind of like, I'm not really in that trading mentality because I haven't been at my desk all day. I've been running around, taking care of things and, just kind of out of the zone. But, entry would have been there. Look something like this. But another thing too is that wide stop loss for ES. We're going to go over why NQ would have been a better opportunity. To get a 2R, I mean, you kind of had to go all the way down here, which, honestly, that wouldn't be a bad target because it's these equal lows. And we have these imbalances down here. But which I think there's a good chance we definitely return to that. But you can see that really there's not much movement here. I mean, 2R is really the minimum I'll take on a trade like this. And it just didn't really give much. I guess it just closed. So this market's pretty much over. I mean, ES will run for another hour, but we know that the volume's pretty much toast for the day. Now, another reason why this would have been lower probability overall is because when we're looking at this immediate impulse move we have here, that CPI pump, we could look at this in two ways. We could look at this range like this, right? Pretty massive range. And I definitely can see that. I think I had it drawn like that before. I definitely had this drawn, and I see this right here. Came up into a premium and filled that fair value gap, displaced on the downside, and now price is kind of consolidating into that order block right here. But I also, when I take another look at it, I could look at, instead of that all being one range, and this is going to be in context of the daily. Sorry, I can't talk. I could see this as a potential bullish range forming. And, our most recent impulse, and this would be the 15-minute range. It's a little clear on the 15-minute, but would be this right here. We have this massive order block that took all this liquidity. We expanded rapidly. You got that shift in market structure saying we wanted to go higher. Now, that could be, I'm just pointing up to this. And I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards a little higher at this moment, but I could see this as a range. Like I said, it's a little clear on the 15-minute. So you kind of had this range form, came up, you took that buy side, so price reverted back to a discount, and we saw a nice reaction off this fair value gap. We opened right within it, massive candle in the open, kind of moseyed on up, really started to push right at that CME open. or not the CME open. Sorry, my brain's fried. The 8:30 a.m. open, and a nice push up into this order block, and then we kind of have just been range bound here. So not really, in my opinion, the best opportunities today. Maybe, hopefully you killed it. What I see mainly was potentially this raid right here as an opportunity. But then when we go back into the 1 minute, you got your shift in structure. But if you're waiting for a premium fair value gap, you never got it. You didn't even get the fair value gap. And I wouldn't have taken it from there. So that would be counter trend if you're looking at the range in the context of this being a bullish upswing. But then a nice little push down into this fair value gap. Could have used that for an entry, but again, it's just stuff in hindsight. I could see it, but I can't really say I would have taken opportunities there. Personally, I'm sure there's people that made money today. I'm not saying there's no opportunities, but for what I'm looking for, it wouldn't really been it for me. So overall, we'll go over NQ actually really quick and why that was the better PM opportunity. So if you see right here, we had that higher high on NQ, and we had a lower high on ES. Sorry, I should have drawn it from over here. Now, we all know that's SMT divergence and would lead to a possible bearish setup on NQ. You combine that with the low time frame entry, and you had nice risk to reward here. You could have used the rejection block, could use the fair value gap. Very clean delivery on NQ. And it actually went down to a nice target. You would have been able to get a nice 2 to 3 hour trade off at no problem. See if I think it was actually almost 2.5 at peak. That would have sucked with a fixed 2 hour. You'd have missed it just a little bit, but it came back down. So NQ is definitely the cleaner delivery today, in my opinion. Looking back in hindsight, I wasn't watching this as it happened, or I probably would have got involved. I've been focusing on ES lately, but it's kind of just a reminder to keep an eye on both. Especially, really, the best way to do it is if you're going to watch both, don't try to watch both all day. Watch one for the most part to get your feel for where the market's going. And then once there is an opportunity or what you are seeing, opportunity build, then that's where you would look to maybe take a look at the other chart and see what kind of price action is being shown there. So looking at the daily chart here, we've got a pretty massive range if you draw it all the way from back up here. What I'm going to do is kind of keep it, take it step by step. And I would draw this really as our overall, swing range or impulse range if we start to move from here. And the reason I like this is we came down, we had this original range right here. Up, we took that sell side liquidity. And when we're talking about a range, when we have that deviation down, we often will see price revert to a premium after that. Now, again, this is still not set in stone. We're starting to show signs of, prices desiring to go up. I haven't looked at the economic calendar this week. Yes, I'll look at oil. Give me 1 second to offer this. But I could see the case for us to maybe draw up towards this high or deeper into this imbalance. Now we're talking about this most recent impulse move. We have already came into a premium, but price action today isn't really showing the desire to go down. And this is why I was saying that, one could look at this as the range right on the 1 hour. But I kind of would look at the more immediate range as this. And I see price coming back down into a discount, mitigating a fair value gap. This NQ is actually delivering a lot better. It came into a deeper discount, showed the desire to move to the upside. Kind of consolidating here. We could see some manipulation, get a complex little range here, maybe even come lower before going higher. Look at the weekly on CS1, or not, ES1, sorry. So now with the weekly chart, and the reason I switched tickers is because the December contract doesn't have this data. But we have this volume imbalance that we tapped into on the weekly. Really nice move up. Now it's too early to call this, but if we were to close the week looking exactly how we were right here, I would start to look for a bullish narrative for a short-term bear market rally. Drawing probably up into this weekly order block right around this 39.29 mark. So we've kind of had a fickle little 2 weeks here where we've been at these key levels under these lows. But I do think I'm leaning a little more bullish overall. I think that price is starting to show the desire to move to the upside. Now, let me look at oil for you, and then I want to look at crypto. So oil's in some zone. Okay, all right. I think we talked about this. I don't know when it was, but I think it must have been last week. But we're down back now in our draw on liquidity. I would look at this as potential area to long. I would wait for, make sure there's no news. Nothing really on the 1 hour showing me that it's ready to move to the upside yet. We don't want to just long just because it's in that daily drawn liquidity. I guess I had an alert for this. I don't even remember seeing that. So half the time I have trading view alerts, I never see them, and I'll go to the chart and it'll say it's been triggered, but I'm not really sure where it alerted me. Somebody said, MC said, I have been getting confused on what a price delivery array is. I think I'm just overcomplicating it. Can you give a quick explanation example, please? Yeah, it's just an order block, fair value gap, old low, equal lows. It's just any POI, any point of interest to where you're going to be looking at. Okay, yeah, Algo said it's earnings. Okay, so yeah, I'm totally out of the loop with any kind of events or economic calendar stuff. So yeah, I could definitely see a potential bull narrative for the short term. Oil doesn't look bad here, but I would wait for it to start showing signs, just like we have this model here on the daily chart. Nice displacement shift in market structure. We want to see that on the translate to the lower time frames as well. Now let's look at what did Bitcoin do today. To be honest, I really would like this lower, to be quite honest, but I don't know if we'll get it. Seems like this candle right there may have been the move, because it is, and this is a good example. We went over this in the private class over the weekend. When we're talking about a price delivery, this is a good example. A price delivery array would be, if you view this as an order block, this is an iffy one because it's not really a big volume candle. But I still look at it as an order block. It's the last little move or last little down candle before a big move up. So when we're looking at where we think price is going to retrace to, like for instance, once we came up into this area and price started to show the desire to move to the downside with the shift in market structure right there, then we would look for it to come back down to a discount. Now, whenever we're looking where in a discount, we look at price delivery rates such as order blocks, fair value gaps. And whenever we have something sitting right at equilibrium, we talked about low-hanging fruit, that oftentimes is where you're going to be reacting from. You might go deeper, but when I look here, this looks like a pretty clean, nice little 3 drive into this POI. Actually pretty clean for Bitcoin. I'll give it to it. I've been talking shit about crypto lately as far as trading it, but this is pretty nice. Wasn't watching on the weekends as much. I had this marked for something. I think I was looking at this last night, but had this imbalance marked, or I had something marked right here. I know I just deleted it while we were on here, but that was really where the market started to show the desire to move to the upside. You could look for it to go to the highs if but I would have probably taken, a little bit more of low-hanging fruit, probably something on this imbalance around here. Seems like that's actually where we're consolidating, because I do see a potential move lower. So we have this 1 hour imbalance. Now we can go to a 15-minute refine this to a nice unmitigated imbalance right there with relatively equal lows. And this is going to be a little clear on like a 5-minute. So I like this zone right here. Who knows if we'll get it. But again, that's kind of like we were talking about the ES. We might get that complex pullback. I wouldn't bet the farm on it. But when I'm looking at this, we're in this imbalance. Also, there's going to be an order block right there on the 1 hour. Probably would look more at that. Didn't go past the mean threshold. So if we go down to a 5-minute, we definitely got that shift in structure right here. Showing us what? Again, it's just showing us the market wants to go lower. Now, how much lower? Whenever we're talking about price in a premium of a bullish range where theoretically we have returned to a price delivery rate that is partially at a discount, you could look at it in the sense that, well, shorts wouldn't be the likely move because we're most likely seeking the high since we've taken out internal liquidity. But looking at it from, in my opinion, I think there's a high possibility we could come down here and stop out some of these early longs and then start to make the real move. Interesting to see what price does around midnight. QNT, God, I don't even want to look. I was talking about, I freaking marked up an order block, or not an order block, I don't know if it's my USD chart or my USDT. God damn, I didn't know it went this far. Actually, yeah, I did. Never mind. This looks way different than it did on my phone. My bad. But I think we talked about this, but we marked out. I know that I had this marked out. I don't know if it was on stream or not, but we marked this out. So that was a draw on liquidity. We're here. We tapped that, and you see it went literally straight to the moon off after that. There's a monthly fair value gap right here. Overall, it seems like that's what price is drawing to. You probably will see that by the end of this month. I would assume. So that's what a new big 228. I wish there was futures on this. There's not. So now looking at this new impulse move, I would probably mark it like this. And you've got another nice clean fair value gap at a discount. Now we haven't really formed a swing high, but this kind of reaction tells me, price might want to go down. But if we form a day that closes maybe around here, you could potentially look, well, I would say you could look for shorts, but I don't think you could short this on anything. There's probably something. Not Binance. I don't know. Maybe Femex or KuCoin. I feel like KuCoin, I don't ever see people even post KuCoin charts anymore. Or not charts, I mean, but P&L slips. But I would look for a potential move back down to this, probably coming into this week, and then another explosion up into here. Scott said, hey, Casper, getting really frustrated when I first sit down in the AM. Like I don't have a starting point. Probably lack of understanding daily ranges. What is your process when opening the charts? So first thing you want to do is what we're doing right now. You want to determine what your bias is for the day. Right, like for instance, today would have been a rough one if you just came in before that daily candle formed at all. Just looking at the daily, which you would have had somewhat of a candle, but this, you could look at this like, well, we might be going lower because we came to a premium of this little range right here and rapidly expanded down. But whenever we had that that weekly imbalance, like I was talking about, the volume imbalance. Where ES chart, you kind of have a different context to go off of. So I think today it wouldn't have been a day that it's unreasonable to just sit out. And whenever you look at the intraday stuff, you know, if it's today that has you frustrated, don't be frustrated, because today, I mean, like I said, whenever we first started, I didn't really see a bunch of very clear opportunities after market open. So, you know, you had this God candle as soon as the opening bell occurred. Some very small opportunities, but nothing really of much value. So don't beat up on yourself if today kind of had you confused. But the first thing I would do is understand my daily bias. Then you'd come on the 15-minute chart, and let's just say if your bias is to go, you know, up, you want to see price go up, then you would wait. Let's just say this is my 15-minute chart and it's the morning and I want price to go up. Well, I would say, okay, well, I'm going to watch for this low and I'm going to watch for all these lows. Now, if price comes under any of those areas and does that, gives us that market structure shift on a lower time frame, then I would look to get long. That's kind of the best way I could explain that. Collins, I got you on gold. I'm just going to delete this whole chart. So here on the weekly, I think the weekly draw on liquidity on gold. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, my girlfriend's blowing my phone up. Make sure she's all right. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. My girl's getting me coffee. I forgot to ask her to get me coffee. She's like blowing me up. She's like, I'm in the fucking drive-thru. Because I ignored it twice. But anyways, the weekly range came back to a premium and shown a pretty clear desire to move down. So I would keep an eye on this low down here, to be quite honest, on the weekly chart. Now, that doesn't mean, I know you said something about longs, and I do see this right here. I have a massive weekly demand candle. I would probably focus more on this fair value gap. We did come into, but to me, the way it reacted to this, it doesn't really show me that there's many orders here. Maybe that candle over here, maybe this massive, probably monthly order block or something. Not really. Overall, I would look 12-hour. Oh yeah, I mean, there's probably some. Hold on, this down here. Or wait, you mean? Are you talking about like way down here? Yeah. Okay. Let me mark the fair value gap just so I have it on my chart. Are you talking on? Hold on. I'm confused. Wait, you do mean below this probably. Okay, this right here. I can see that for sure. I'm just gonna throw this line on the chart. Yeah, I would overall though, I would look low and see, look, that lines up nicely with that weekly low. There would definitely could be some longs though, but overall, especially if DXY starts to fail heavily. But because if I'm looking at this, daily, I see what you're saying right here, right? Nice shift in structure. And whenever we have this, massive order block that we're sitting on, I could see that long narrative, and it might play out. I'm not saying it won't, but if it did, where I would be looking to take it would be like right here. I wouldn't take it much farther than that. Just because we're in the context of this weekly bearish range, and price might, want to give us that entry model and show us that it's shifting higher, but where is it shifting higher? Is it likely to go into a premium up here? Personally, I don't think so. It's possible. Everything's possible, but I would think that if it does start to shift up here, if we're on the 1 hour and it gives us, This is an odd one because it's definitely displacement, but didn't really leave much of a gap in a discount. I mean, it's kind of choppy here, to be quite honest. Because I mean, I see on the 1 hour, you kind of shifted structure there. When you look here, you could look for, when you look at the first price delivery rate and a premium or a discount, it'd be this order block, and that got violated. Other than that, I mean, yeah, down here, but again, once we're showing, when I look at this chart and I ask myself, like, where is most of the displacement to? It's mostly the downside. So if there was, a long entry, I would be pretty quick to take profits on it, and then I would be looking to reposition short up in this area. Now, if you are just a day trader on gold and this is what you're focusing on trading, I would probably wait till there's just our sell opportunities. Like if you're, because I see that the opportunity for a potential swing, but like this morning, for instance, this was, we rated that high right in the New York session. You could have came maybe down to a 1 minute or a 5 minute. It's making me miss trading gold. This is actually a good example. So a lot of people get stopped out on these trade models, liquidity rate, because they don't use displacement in the proper ways. So for instance, I know when I first started learning this, I would have looked at this as a trade opportunity right here. And then, fair value gap. You wait till that shift in structure you got right here. I mean, to be honest, there might have been one for like if you use a fixed 2R. Yeah, it looks like there was one. But let's say if you were trying to take this a bit further and you're basing it off of the bias that, we just rated this 15-minute high right here, and you want us to come back down into do something like this. Well, that, this one worked out. I don't want to give a bad example, but this to me isn't really a displacement market structure. That's not a market structure shift. This to me is a market structure shift right here. All right, so when we look at this, and you kind of have that, you could have looked at the order block right here. I don't know if you got hit. I would have personally just taken this imbalance. I know it's right. Again, it's at an equilibrium, but that is what I look at as a shift in market structure. Or there's no fair value gap. My bad. I'm blind. The order block would have been the entry here. There might have been something on a 3 minute or 2 minute. But this right here, not displacement. That is not displacement. This is displacement. Yeah, it's a great question. Are order blocks and supply and demand candles just rebranding of each other? Yeah, absolutely. And well, there's a gray area where kind of like you might, theoretically, there's two different kinds of things that could be a supply and demand candle. Like there's rejection blocks. Like as far as ICT, a rejection block would be a candle more like this, where you have that big wick on it, and an order block or that is going to be considered a supply candle. But they're basically, yes, the same thing. Joseph said, can we take a look at euro dollar? I did get a notification for this today, and I haven't looked yet. Guessing it was probably this right here. So let's see what this is. We talked about this the other day, so we were drawing up into this imbalance. Maybe I don't know if I talked about it because it looks like I can always tell when I drew stuff on my phone because it's not even. Like the boxes I have aren't usually even. But nice push back into nice push back into this daily order block right here and this imbalance. So potential sells soon. There's nothing yet that's showing us that. Ideally, we'd want to see us fall back under this fair value gap. So I'm going to extend this out a little bit. It'd really be nice if we could get a shifted market structure You could be aggressive with it with a 15-minute. An hourly would be ideal. This is kind of finicky because it's not really in session. To be honest, I mean, I could see this as potential, but I'd probably hold off on this one. And I'm gonna take a look at this tomorrow, though. I want us to fall back down under this fair value gap. But overall, I'd be looking for sells soon. You said you caught an entry at 0.97. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to take profits, but you just heard what I said. So that was me unbiased telling what I think. Now, let me take a look at DXY. Okay, yeah, look at that. So tweeted about this last week. Okay, I should have started off with this, to be honest. Just kind of rushed my desk. So nice move into our draw on liquidity on DXY. Now we could see lower, but this is the point where you kind of get a little bit more cautious with longs and wait to see how DXY is going to react, right? Because we are in this daily imbalance. Price is not really giving us any indication on the 1 hour of any kind of shift. We might see a move back up into this imbalance right here and then get that shift. We might not get a shift, but I would be pretty cautious with longs. If I was up on a long right now, I'd probably be taking a good bit of it, if not all of it. But just keep that in mind moving into the end of the week. That kind of, I want to see how this reacts because I know I like the charts for ES and would like to see some upside, but I will be honest, I don't like that. This kind of makes that a little bit less probable, in my opinion. Now, again, we haven't seen anything we need in order to kind of confirm that we're moving to the upside. And to clarify, what we need, what that would be something like this. So if we could form a swing high and then break it with displacement, forming a fair value gap, that would be showing the market, kind of showing us its hand that it wants to move to the upside. So I know you'd said something about DXY wanting 112.7. You said that at 4? Hell, it looks like it's hit that. I mean, I guess. Oh, 112.7. Never mind. No, I was looking at 0.07. Yeah, no, I could see it for sure. Like up in this region, I like that idea. I swear, sometimes like whenever I have I take the like when I'm off on the weekend, and then if I'm off like on a Monday, I just feel so like this is I kind of looked at charts earlier, but this is the first I've been at my desk and really looking. It feels like a weekend lasts so long sometimes. Yeah, interesting to see how this turns out. This is definitely something to keep an eye on. It's kind of lines up with the Euro TA too. Indices are the odd one though, with earnings this week, and then we took out the low that took out the low. So now we've created a new range. Whenever we took this low here, we created a new range, which is this. You could say this, or even up here, depending on how aggressive you want to be with that. And then we took the sell side. So that after you take the sell side and take the external liquidity, you look for a move to internal liquidity. So that would lead us to look more bullish. It's interesting where DXY is at. So I'm just going to trust the charts. I mean, I would still lean more bullish on indices just because, it's kind of just calling it how I see it, just looking at it. But I will keep an eye on DXY. Potential shorts soon on Euro if we get shift in market structure falling under that fair value gap. If not, it'll tell me the price wants higher. Oil, Nothing yet, but potential longs. And then let's look at some crypto, guys. It's been too long. Give me some, throw some crypto out, people. And somebody said, why DXY going up and Bitcoin going up? Is that a good sign? It actually wouldn't be a good sign for, it depends the context of it. It could indicate SMT divergence. Now on which pair, that would be kind of dependent on the context. And also, just to clarify, DXY making a higher low and Bitcoin making a higher high, that would be bearish for Bitcoin. You want to focus on DX. If you're focusing on Bitcoin's higher highs or its lows, you want to focus on the inverse whenever you're talking about DXY. And if you don't get an inverse, then you look at that as a divergence. Potty. I haven't. Let's get some crypto charts going. God, everything's so dead. I mean, it's just like, I would still consider this all the same range. That is a nice daily order block right there. And it's about the same story with a lot of alts. We have these ranges that are just massive from the crash, and then haven't really seen much action with a lot of these lower cap alts, even with Bitcoin rallying. Like, see this barely got any traction. Overall, though, I don't know. This is a tough one because it came up above that. So, you could, the way I would see that, just looking at this, would be a raid up into this daily order block and then obvious desire to go to the downside. It's just like, how much sell side can you take? I would have to lean more bullish for this. I mean, it hasn't really shown any indication just yet. But the reason I say that is we came under this low here, took the low again. So we took the sell side, kind of like we were just talking about. And we have, I drew this in the weekly, but on the daily, we have that order block. It's also kind of within this weekly order block, right at equilibrium. So, that being said, though, when you look at the daily chart here, it's not the prettiest just yet that it's showing desire to make, any kind of massive move. Overall immediate bias I would look at, though, is we traded back down into this order block right here. Nice reaction so far. We formed that daily swing low right here. So that would tell me that price is wanting to draw back up at least into this impulse move. So, from a stepping stones perspective, I would probably look at this fair value gap as a draw and look for price to kind of move back up into that. So overall, immediate bias would be bullish. Midterm, I mean, I hate saying I'm bullish on anything. Obviously not long term, just because the economy and all markets, but I could see the big move on a lot of alts. We've talked about that a little bit. So I would just take it one day at a time, focus on the most recent drawn liquidity, which to me would be this 10718. Ryan said you completed a demo challenge on FTMO going for your first funded account. Oh, hell yeah. Nice. Lot sizes, are they calculated differently? Yeah, on indices. I don't know if they changed it. I know FTMO was talking about changing to the same contract size as MFF, but I'm not sure if they did. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. So with FTMO, the way that they had it before, the contract size was 10. So that means when you open a standard lot on the S&P, you're opening 10 contracts, so to speak, 10 units of that asset. So on MFF, it's 1. So for instance, and play around with this, don't go, do this just because I'm saying it. Go check your contract size and see what it says. But MFF, a 1 lot on FTMO the way it was recently, unless they've changed it, that was a 10 lot on MFF. So that could be why you're seeing a shift in your P&L. COTI and CRV. We just did COTI. We'll do CRV. So he said, how much? This is a great question. How much volume is needed for smart money concepts? How do we know if we can apply it to smaller cap cryptos? So those who have been here for a while have heard me preach the same point. A lot of these coins that are very low market caps and don't really have much going on, we're not going to have as much efficiency navigating these markets using the same concepts we're going to use to identify manipulation, which is smart money concepts. Because, if we're let's just say we're at a coin, playing a coin that has a $200 million market cap, chances are there's not a ton of, we know there's not a ton of whales, because $200 million in the grand scheme of things is not all that much money. It is, there's probably a couple whales, but as far as, market makers really manipulating price, I think the most you're going to get at is a huge pump, rug pull dump type thing, which is not really tradable most of the time. So you are correct. Some coins really, aren't going to have that same efficiency. Like, for instance, a coin that probably would, I could see CRV working pretty efficiently, because this actually played out really nicely. Range deviation trade. I remember plotting this out forever ago. Very clean. But let me just mark this whole chart off. CRV, on the other hand, for instance, if you guys are familiar with crypto, it's kind of like the treasury of DeFi in its own way. So I could see interest for it to be manipulated. That would make sense to me of why price of this would be manipulated, because there's interest behind this token. I'm looking at the weekly, though. Looks pretty clean. I would look at this kind of as our weekly range we're playing within. We haven't yet returned to a premium. We took sell side once, took it again. It's going to look clear on a daily chart. So we would look for a sign that we want to go up overall. Price kind of did come in, tap into this fair value gap. I think a lot of early shorts are getting induced here. A lot of buy side liquidity is going to be resting above that high. Traded back now down into this. I actually like this setup a lot. Traded into this weekly order block, the daily. Today, actually, if we close like this and then we need another candle to close without filling this gap, I'm actually going to add this to my main watch list. I like this setup a lot. Good look, Smilos. So what I would look for here, we can stay above that and close another candle and leave a nice gap. I'd look for price to trade into that gap that formed and look to go long around that. And I would probably swing those longs. Might actually build a starter position of this sooner on some low leverage. A lot of shorts are going to get stopped out up there. A lot. I like this right here. We kind of rated that daily liquidity into that weekly order block. Price showing desire to move higher on a daily chart. Again, we need that closure. This is something that I think that's going to brew up pretty nicely. So as far as any leverage trades, be patient. I might actually build some spot stuff in this. I'll signal in the Discord if so. We can look at shitcoins if you want, ZP. COTI's is as low cap as it's got so far. I like this chart, though. I really like this chart. I like this setup. Definitely keep your eye on CRV. EOS. Got these equal lows. It's been a little bit so I looked at this. Clean up the chart. Oof, I don't know. I wouldn't fuck with this one, to be honest. The reason being is this is kind of already done what I want some of the other coins to do. I mean, it could, you know, if crypto is going to fly, everything's going to fly. But this right here, we've came back up. Well, I mean, I guess it didn't. You know, that could be just engineering liquidity. You could look at it in that sense. Personally, I would cool it on this one. You know, it could definitely see some up movement, but I think there's better opportunities just because, you know, we look at this, it kind of came into this imbalance here. The weekly has shifted down pretty abruptly with displacement. You know, it's kind of hard to say when crypto is going to go for the low whenever you're looking at the rest of crypto. But I would cool it on this one just because the weekly chart. As far as for any swings, as far as the daily chart goes, I mean, nice reaction off this order block, but again, I just not one of the prettiest higher time frame charts. Soaking up this fair value gap right here. Yeah, I would cool it on this one. CRV, I'd pay attention to that before. So like, look at this. We've got like a lot more room. The weekly really, you know, that I know that with EOS, it kind of came right out of the line, but this didn't even come anywhere close to a premium. It's still a good big jump off. It's also a coin of value. It's not just a dog shit kind of shit coin. I know EOS, people love EOS because wax and stuff, but there's not really much value in that at this time. Later on, maybe, but I would focus more here. On that note, guys, I'm probably going to go ahead and hop off here. I do appreciate you all coming through. Setups I'd keep my eyes on. Wait, what's this silent? Let's see. Oh, KSM. I got you, bro. My bad. One more for silent, and then I am getting off. Okay, this is going to be a nice opportunity too. So the reason I can look at that so quickly and tell is, you know, this is mainly our weekly impulse swing. Sell side gets taken. We're kind of chilling out under that. Kind of in a fair value gap. I wouldn't really pay attention to that. Let me see if I can go to a tether chart. Okay, so look at that. Nice weekly equal lows swept right there. Look at that. Now, why else we like this is the weekly chart. You know, here was our range. We took that low, which means we took the sell side. We've now created this new range. Haven't really shown a crazy desire to go up yet, but we look at this. We've got a very clear area price could end up drawing towards. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you to long KSM for that's a massive move. And a lot of these alts aren't going to make it that far, I will say. So don't, you know, don't hodl for the 200% move. But when we look at the weekly range, I mean, we have a massive range here. Unmitigated fair value gap there. And do not go, Casper said KS. I'm not talking to you, Silent. I'm just saying anybody that's watching, but do not say I said KSM is going to 115 bucks. But I am telling you that the chart is liking some bullish action. Now, I see a lot of buy side right there. A lot of buy side right here. This is actually another good chart. Good shit, Silent. I'm glad you added me. This is getting added to the watch. So this is how I'm going to do it because I just, I'm not going to go through every single all the time, but I'm kind of adding a couple to my funded list just to keep them in eyesight because this is the only one I really watch. So I want to have them in eyesight just so I'm checking up on them. This is actually a pretty decent looking chart. And now this is a good example of a framework developing, but no execution yet. So when I'm looking at this, I mean, I see a nice narrative building, like a lot of shorts built up here, a lot of shorts built up here. You know, massive amount of orders got left behind whenever the market was moving inefficiently and only offering the sell side. Price has not yet offered the buy side of this price range. So you get the framework, but again, let's look on where we're at. Do we really have any reason to long this? No, not yet. Not on like a swing perspective. So just be patient with it. And who knows, a lot of these coins, I'm not saying KSM is one, but a lot of these coins are, you know, totally just going to be dead forever, and they're not going to revert back to premium. So that's why I'm saying don't bet the farm on that. Yeah, overall framework looks really good. Yeah, ZP, I feel you. Ryan said, so to confirm what I said, MFF is 1/10 of FTMO size. Going for a 20K account, would a 20 lot be crazy, risking 1%? I mean, it depends on your stop loss, you know. If you have a 20K account and you're risking $200, I mean, you'd have to have a $10 stop loss for a 20 lot on MFF. Really, just figure out what your contract size. So this is the way, like if you can, when you figure out your contract sizes, that means that's how many units of that financial instrument you're opening per one lot. So if the NASDAQ contract size is 1 and you're on the NASDAQ and you're looking to, you know, enter a long, I don't know, let's see, a nice little run here on ES. But if you're looking to enter a, let's go back to NASDAQ just so we started on it. Like let's just say you're going to short it right here. I'm not telling you to do this. This is just for explanation. You know, if you had a $3.50 stop loss, that means that if that stop loss hit for every one lot you opened, assuming the contract size is 1, you're going to lose $3.50. So that's the way. I don't use like a position sizing calculator or anything. You can kind of just, once you understand that, you can just do it off the top of your head. He said, wasn't CRV long, took the profit, but thinking about opening some small limits again. I personally am going to just wait on, it's tempting. I won't lie to you. That's tempting, but I'm just going to wait. Just be patient. And if it goes without you, it goes without you, whatever. But what I'd like to see is, you know, another candle. Maybe we close here, a candle kind of come down here and then move up, maybe take these equal highs and leave a nice little fair value gap. And it's going to take some time, but that's what I would rather see. You know, because it's a pretty, if you guys saw me measuring, the reason I was measuring, I was considering adding like a half position just for some swings. But when I look at this, this is a massive move. I mean, look, it's like a 10% move almost down to where we'd be potentially entering at, or in your stop loss would be, you know, half as much. Oops. Like a 20% stop loss. Anyways, guys, I appreciate you all coming through. Tomorrow we'll be on at the normal time at noon, and that'll be the time every day this week. So make sure to come through. Also, if you want to start a free trial, you can hit the link in my bio, or not my bio, the fucking description, and you can use the code Casper, all caps. And also, if you could like and subscribe, I'm getting better at remembering. If you could like, comment, and do all that good stuff, it helps me a lot. I will see you guys tomorrow, though. Be safe. Peace.